Then I get another email going, we told you categorically not to go near Snoop Dogg. I said, you can't tell me not to come to Paris. I'm already in Paris. Growing up, there's one thing my mum and dad didn't want, and that was me to say any naughty words, all right? But that also included a later in life introduction to some pretty lyrical music, which taught me some of these naughty words, all right? And at the top of the leaderboard was Mr. Snoop Dogg. And I'm talking maybe 10 years ago when I was at SEMA, I met a really lovely guy called Richard Rawlins, and he said, when you're back in the UK, make sure you pop into London Motor Museum and meet ELO. So I did, because I wanted to be a YouTuber, I wanted to be a content creator, and I thought, you know what, meeting people that are already in the business, already making films or videos, would be influential for my next steps in my career. So I went to a place called London Motor Museum, and I've spoke about this before on the channel, and I've spoke about how clever and how crazy it was, and it was a car guy's mecca. Muscle cars, McLaren F1 replicas, we had movie cars like Mr. Bean, we had Herbie, the Batmobile, had all this amazing selection of cars. But there was one car sat in the corner which piqued my interest, all right? Because ELO told me that this 1968 convertible Cadillac Deville was Mr. Snoop Dogg. And there's a very interesting story behind this. He told me that every time Snoop Dogg came to England, that car was his car. So he could utilize it anytime when he was in London. If he needed it, ELO would get it out of the museum. But the way this car came about was very, very interesting. So basically, back in 2007, ELO gets a phone call from the MTV Music Awards saying, hey dude, Snoop's coming to Germany to open the MTV Music Awards in Munich. But at the moment, they got him sat on the back of a Mercedes. And I don't think Snoop was very impressed at all with being sat on the back of a Mercedes Benz. Because that doesn't really say Snoop Doggle, right? It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. So basically, he had a black Cadillac in his workshop that was convertible. It was a bit rough and ready, but they said, look, I can put hydraulics on this, I can put an audio system in it, and I can dice it up to make it like a Snoop Deville. But it has to be endorsed by Snoop. They agreed this black Cadillac would be painted and would be endorsed by Snoop Dogg as being an official Snoop Deville. So it went to Amsterdam, where TKO worked with a gentleman out there who was an airbrush artist. So what they did on the hood of the car and down the front fenders is they put the German flag in like a big triangle. A little bit like a V of a Cadillac badge, but basically it went across the hood and went both down the sides of the fenders, and then basically it was a German flag. And then on the rear quarters, on the rear fenders, it said Snoop Deville. And it had like a picture of a dog. I mean, it was freaking awesome, right? And the memory I had from 10 years ago before, this car was pristine. The armrest was put down and it had Snoop Dogg's signature on the armrest, and it was the last I ever heard of it. I remember it being in the museum, and then years later the museum got shut down, and then these cars were apprehended by the government. So they were basically, when the museum shut, whatever reason it was, some of the cars were held for a lien or whatever, or tax or whatever, and basically the cars went in dry storage by the government. After 3 years, they went into exterior storage. So this Snoop Deville was left abandoned in a field. And when I mean abandoned, I'm talking a foot deep fur with the windows wide open to the elements. We're talking mold, a dead fox in the back. Like, it was freaking horrendous, all right? But it's still a Snoop Deville. And as soon as I walked through this field, so basically it was called the Field of Dreams, and the guy owned this field, and we went through it, and every single movie car that wasn't massively significant, I mean, the Batmobile wasn't there, the Mini wasn't there, there's other cars that I really wanted that weren't in the field. These were the lower end cars that I think were the projects, or weren't as loved, or, weren't regarded by the UK government as being worth a lot of money. And I saw it there, and I was like, freaking hell, I cannot pretend that I'm excited. Like, I'm not excited. I've got to calm down, walk around everything else, and then mosey on by. So I looked at the car and I was like, I freaking need this. I don't want it. I freaking need. Imagine cruising down the road with the hydraulics going, ain't nothing but a G-string, baby. I think it's G-thing or G-string, but it's blurred lines and all that. That's someone else. That's fine. So basically, I saw the car. I wanted it. So I made the guy an offer. And he wanted like £12,000 for it. I offered him 7. He told me to go away. Offered him 8. Told me to go away. And this is where I am one jammy chicken. All right? Because when I was in the Isle of Wight, which is a small island on the bottom of England, I bought a Mark II Jaguar for about £5,000. And it was rusty, but it was kind of cool. It was like a mob car. So it was basically used in all the bank robberies back in the day. So you opened the boot and there was gold bars that were made of cement that were painted gold and stuff. It was like a proper mob boss's car. And I had that. And a guy phoned me and was like, hey man, are you still interested in the Snoop Deville? I own it. I'm like, oh, I don't know, mate. Not really interested. Obviously, I'm barely staying on my seat right now. I said, yeah, I don't know. What do you want? So I'll come down, look at my field of great automobiles and see if there's anything that tickles your fancy, all right? So he pops up there and he goes, oh, you're Mark II Jag. What do you want for that? I said, mate, it owes me like 12 grand, but I'll do your swap for the Snoop Deville. He went, oh, all right. Which means he got it for a bit of a bargain because I knew the Snoop was already 12 grand. So like 10 to 12 grand, I'm at 10 to 12 grand. Hopefully, in my opinion, he'll go, it's like for like, it's good. Pulled the trigger, got it done. But that isn't where the story gets interesting, all right? Because the car was abandoned and that meant that the fenders were rusty, the paint was absolutely horrendous. The interior was moldy. I mean, you could see where slugs had basically gone up and down the seats and made like a road map. You know, like on the floor, those carpets you used to get with the road maps and your kids used to play on the cars. Honestly, it was just like a snail trail road map. And I mean, that's the worst case scenario of this car. We assumed that maybe the windows didn't work. That's why they were down. We put a battery on it, windows went up. Like for freaking 10 years, this car's been sat in a field gathering mold, dead animals, just because someone never bothered to put the windows up. Put the windows up, we got it running, driving, put some gas in it, it drove. We worked with a local company called EcoBat. They give us 4 batteries for free. We got the hydraulic suspension working. We worked with a company called Lay and Play, which are a UK lowrider company which supply lots of different parts. And they helped us get all the switches working, which was absolutely amazing because basically through one of my videos, people were telling me I was burning them out because I was holding them wrong. Apparently it's a matter of flicking switches as opposed to holding switches. It's hydraulics and solenoids and massive voltage and all this crazy stuff that I'm learning. We had about 2 weeks notice when I realized, which was very naive for me, that Snoop Dogg was going to be in Paris for the Olympics. Because in my opinion, Snoop Dogg, let's just say he's had a bit of a checkered past. Yeah? So he's been a little bit naughty. Apparently someone was killed, someone was this, someone was beaten up, there was drugs involved. But realistically, he has become like a hero for the Americans, From being a guy that people wouldn't want them listening to his music to now bearing the flag for the Olympics. I mean, that is one hell of a step forward. And I think that's because of a couple of factors. He's a family man. He's had the same wife for a long time. His kids are there. They're in a lot of his videos, a lot of his social media. His music is still relevant. He's got his own kids channel on Netflix, with Snoop Dogg and all this kind of stuff. He has changed his patches, And I always assumed that a leopard couldn't change his spots. Well, in this case, a Snoop Dogg can, all right? So I'm thinking Snoop's going to be in Paris. I'm in England. I got 2 weeks. The car's pretty rough. If I work my ass off and I work with an amazing guy called Jacob at Live 9 Lives Customs, we can paint the car, we can get the car rolling, running and driving, and we can take it to Paris with Adam C, and we can go on a missing dog hunt. Had the vision, all right? We're going to get amazing Donna, Sticky Donna, Abshot Signs, to make us some boards that have got Snoop Dogg's face on with missing dog and my phone number on, right? And we're just going to go around Paris with missing dog signs and try and find Snoop Dogg. Like, it's a plan that couldn't be faulted, all right? It's science, right? There's a missing dog. We're going to frickin' find him. We've got his car. He's going to love it. We're restoring it. It was a wreck. Does Snoop care? There's only one way to find out. So the day before, we've painted the car, we've got the interior clean, we've got the suspension working. Both of my rear solenoids melt in the car. The switches are rusty, they melt, the car catches fire. We're like, what are we going to do? So we pull the battery cables off, and we realize the only way this is going to happen is if we strap the car to a trailer by the wheels. We've still got front suspension, so we can still make it bounce, but on a trailer. Yeah? So I phone Lay and Play. Lay and Play is on the phone. He's telling me how to make it work. So we re-rig the switches. We get the melted ones gone, put the top ones in. And I've got 2 switches for the front. So we have got a Range Rover, 2012 white Range Rover, with a 20-foot trailer that we rented, which we weren't actually legally allowed to take out the country, which we found out 8 hours later because they phoned us because they had air tags in them. Probably my idea from my Whistling Diesel video, obviously. They got a phone call and he's like, where are you? I was like, oh, we're going to Paris, mate. Well, you can't take the trailer to Paris. Well, we're already there, so sorry. So they got over it. Basically, we turn up in Paris and we're cruising round, right? We've got cardboard cutouts of Snoop Dogg, half cardboard cutout for the back seat, so that if you drive by, it looks like Snoop Dogg sat in the back of the car. Like, it was crucial thinking. We also had a 5'9" cutout of Snoop Dogg, which isn't accurate because he's actually taller than us by quite a bit, but it's the only length of plywood we could get, so we went as high as we could. So worst case scenario, we could take photos at the Eiffel Tower, just like these ones, with Snoop Dogg if we don't get to meet him. So first of all, we turned up at the Arc de Triomphe, right? And the Arc de Triomphe, I can only describe as the most mental roundabout in Europe, okay? It's the most dangerous roundabout because to get on it, you've got to shut your eyes and hope for the best. And to get off it, you've got to do the same, right? It's basically the biggest roundabout ever with traffic coming from left, right, inside and outside. And also, in the middle of it is a massive monument. So there's people in the middle that are trying to get in and off the Arc de Triomphe. This is the first time in 13 years the Arc de Triomphe has been closed. Yeah? We're talking not a car on the busiest roundabout in Europe. So I'll pull up with my Range Rover with Snoop Dogg's Cadillac on the back. And in my broken French, I go, hello. He goes, no entry. We're shut. Snoop Dogg's car, mate. You can phone Snoop and tell him he's not allowed his car. Beep, 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 beep. Okay. So they waved me and Adam C onto the roundabout. And I'm not just saying we're in the car in front. Me and Adam C are sat in the front of the Snoop Deville with Snoop Dogg in the back with the hydraulic suspension going with the most amazing audio system been given to me by Serwin Vega, right? And the amazing guys at Impulse and the amazing guys at Kenwood and Pioneer hooked me up, head unit speakers. So we had Snoop Dogg playing full whack. We're talking naughty words and all, right? At the Olympics, going around the Arc de Triomphe with the suspension going up and down. At this point, I remembered my mate Ewan Thomas, MBE, the fastest man in the world Olympic gold medal holder, right, was hosting for the UK, right, for the Olympics. He's our UK representative. He phoned me and goes, mate, are you going around the Arc de Triomphe in the Snoop Deville? I went, yeah, mate. Told you I'd be here, didn't I? He said, yeah, but there's talkers and doers, mate. I didn't think you and Adam C had it in you. You're on the back of a trailer. Look over here. I look over and there is basically a reporter's booth. So basically like a couple of seats, a table, a little bit like a football thing, you know. Oh, 22's over to him, da 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 da. But this is for the Olympics. And he is watching me. Like, what is the chances of that? He goes, dude, tonight, meet me at McDonald's. We need to have a chat. Meet him at McDonald's. We go around to his hotel. And he goes, tomorrow at 9 a.m., I need you at the Champs-Élysées, right? And we're going to film on ABC America. I'm like, what? He goes, my mate is from ABC America, Discovery, everything. The first video that we're going to put out of the Olympics is going to have you in it on a dog hunt. All right, a missing dog hunt. I'm like, cool. So me and Adam C go back to the Arc de Triomphe and we film going around it and he's there with his TV crew, full freaking TV crew. We're talking trolleys, mics, everything. Police are there, right? Watching us do it. Like, I'm like, how are we getting away with this? So we're driving around, pull up, and he goes, right, you Brits are crazy. You come all the way here. What are you doing? Well, we're on a missing dog hunt. You know, this car was Snoop Dogg's car. We've saved it from a field. We've brought it back to life. Snoop Dogg, if you're out there, I'm coming for you, my friend. At this point, I get a very strongly worded email from Snoop Dogg's manager. And let's just say, if it was Disney, it would be a cease and desist. It basically stated, Snoop Dogg is working this week for the Olympics. Do not attempt to meet him in any way. We are beyond busy. So at that point, my video goes live on NBC America, right? These idiots driving around Paris in what we've classed as Snoop Dogg's car that he specifically needs, right? So then I get another email going, we told you categorically not to go near Snoop Dogg. I said, you can't tell me not to come to Paris. I'm already in Paris, right? So we're in Paris, having an amazing time. But this is when it turns a little bit The video drops at like 4 p.m. in America, which is probably about 1 o'clock in the morning in England or midnight in England, like my time zones are all off, right? And I promise you, I had 300 to 400 missed calls from all around the world. I had a guy from Abu Dhabi going, call me. I know where Snoop is now, call me. So I phoned this guy, he goes, I'm watching him on YouTube. He's doing Drop It Like It's Hot. I'm like, thanks a lot, bye. I had every single nonsense call apart from one lady. And one lady messaged me on Instagram and said, I'm friends with Snoop. I'm here in town with him. I'm going to show him your video. I was like, this is freaking mental, right? This is freaking crazy. I got a message the next day going, I showed Snoop the video. He thought it was cool. Love what you're doing. He just can't help at the moment. Maybe we can do something in the future, basically. And I thought that's fair enough. He's been paid $500,000 a day or something crazy to do his crip walk down the road holding the Olympic torch. The guy is a freaking guru. He's gone from being naughty to nice. He's been from the bottom. Now he's there. He's a freaking gem of a human being. What I want to do is I want to bring the car to the US. I want to give it a bit more of a strengthening in the chassis because the body does this when you press the hydraulics. I mean, it's got its own mind. You can't open the doors when it's down or up because it's all twisted. It's an amazing car. But I still think I've got 1% more chance than anyone else in the world to meet Mr. Snoop D-O-double-G. So if you're out there watching my Olympic triumphant efforts to meet you in Paris, hit me up. Send me a DM. Hit me at sam@ardupgarage.com. I'll bring the car to LA. Do you know what? If it's the right thing to do, I'll give you the keys, man. Like, I'll hand the car over to you. But I'd love to sit there and be jumping up and down with Mr. Snoop D-O-double-G.
If you get a ticket, the first thing you should do is text a picture of it to 305-305. That will get the ticket clinic on your case immediately. You'll be facing costly fines, risks of suspension, possible jail time, points on your license, higher insurance premiums, and a lot of bad things that they can help you to avoid. You can also find them at the link in the description below, but the Ticket Clinic is a nationwide law firm with brick and mortar offices in Georgia, Florida, and California, but they've got attorneys everywhere, and that's what's most important because a local attorney will know exactly how the local laws work, know the people who are in charge, and get you the best outcome possible. So text a picture of your ticket to 305-305 or click the link in the description below to fight your ticket with the Ticket Clinic.